Hi everyone. Today we're looking at Beethoven, Sonata number 30 in E major, opus 109, the third movement. Hi Peter, hi Bill. Glad to see some people are excited about this amazingly beautiful piece. It is one of my all-time favorite pieces. The third movement is just where this really comes together. Yeah, in all its splendor and beauty. So here we go. We might split this into two. I kind of just left it open. If we do, then we will do the first three variations up to the Piacevole. We would stop there. It's kind of a shame. I kind of feel like going through this whole thing right now, so we just feel the unity of it. But I'm going to play it by ear, okay? We're just going to play it by ear. So here's the beautiful theme. All right, here's the beautiful theme. Second part. With repeats, of course, as most variations have, that part one and then part two. Okay, so let's take this apart a little bit now. Interesting that text in German over the at the beginning of this introduction, or theme rather. I'm sorry, searching for my words. Gesangvoll mit innigster Empfindung. So gesangvoll means singing, or singing full, I suppose, with an inner feeling, an interior feeling, which is a little bit, a little bit, I suppose, ironic or paradoxical. At the same time, he writes molto cantabile, which is contradictory. It's very contradictory to be molto cantabile, which means very singing, but then for it to be an interior thing. So this is not the kind of thing that's so extrovertedly expressive. It's more personal. Expressive like the first variation, molto espressivo, right? We want that when we start the first variation, that's a different kind of sound and voice that we hadn't had yet in the first one. So we want to kind of refrain from getting too expressive in the theme here. More personal. See, as opposed to being like, that's too expressive, right? So that's the kind of thing that we need to balance here. Interior. Probably the best advice also for this theme is just get out of the way. You know, let the music speak for itself. Don't try too hard to make it sound so, you know, just let it be. It's beautiful enough as it is. And that can be the hardest thing, right? Just three notes, these chords. Andante, so we have a kind of walking theme, right? We don't want it too slow. Not too fast either. It feels kind of much to moderato, right? But you don't want it to feel like a funeral march either, right? So we need that kind of flowiness in there, right? Okay. But above all, simplicity and purity. Little crescendo here. Roll that one on the beat. So instead of you go, that sounds very much Beethoven. Now, every bar we've had this T, right? And then again, maybe we do this 2 bars by 2 bars. Once again, B, E, this time a 6th. Now this time he does the opposite. He comes from below. Crescendo all the way to piano. So this can be challenging, right? You make sure this, if you connect it with a little flexibility in the wrists, then you won't have that problem where some notes don't sound. See how that's different from you move in between the notes to get to the next one. That's what allows you to transfer the weight from the thumb to the second finger here. Right, and then we have a repeat. Don't forget the bass line. G, A, B. Sing that. Sing it though again in a very discreet and personal way. It's like you have a really deep, personal, meaningful conversation with someone, but you don't need everyone to hear you around you. You know, it's just like maybe between you and someone else, or between you and God, or between you and a close friend. It doesn't matter. Some kind of thing like that. But I think it gives you the idea of how personal this should sound. And the difference in the expression to this. Now it's like we sing to everybody. Everyone should hear us. That's very different, right? Okay, so yeah, just be aware of how this sings without making it overly expressive. There's our walking tempo. This one is tricky. It's always tricky. A few notes end up being too loud. Now, from below, crescendo, more C natural than C sharp, and a little bit of A sharp as well. So that then here we come back down as a surprise to piano. So it's something like this, crescendo. I'm having that problem, so maybe even a bit more in here. Now this is kind of lonely sounding. And again, you can group this like this. And then again on the beat. Some people don't put this in the pedal. I always find it sounds a little strange. But you can put it in the pedal just for a second. And that sounds really nice. And that kind of prepares us for the next chord. Right? Drink some water there. Take off the pedal. Same thing here. Right? Pardon me. So those things are on the beat. That's most important. Same thing here. End there as soon as I finish coughing. Okay, pardon me. All right, so back to this. All right, we've grouped it that way. That's a very smart thing to do. And another thing that can really help is in the theme, sometimes, just as a practice, you play this faster than usual, right? So just to get a sense of how it's put together. And you're like, this whole thing goes together, right? Those 8 bars, as they usually are, with a swell in the middle of the 8, right? So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our crux. Back down. A little surprise at the end. And that wraps up those 8 bars. Same thing here. Let's try the same thing. Just gives you a sense of how those 8 bars are pieced together by playing them a little faster like that. Okay, we come back to normal, this lonely theme. And then again to here. And then again, this one swells to this one. The dominant here of the 3rd degree minor. 3rd degree, exactly. Then crescendo. That's another very tricky one. I'll be honest with you, I practiced this for years. And sometimes still work on it. To get this on the beat, but feel like it goes all the way. As a pickup to that sforzando. Mezza voce again, he writes, and we want this to get less and less and less. So this is so beautiful if you go instead of, right? That's a more expressive thing, right? Think of it as it's just that chord. Already had it. And then you don't want this to be so much more than the bar before. Ideally less, right? So again, let's contrast it. I love showing you contrast. What we don't want is this is good, but then we don't want, you don't want that to be too much, right? It's very subtle. So let's try to do it right. Less, still less, and then even less here. Maybe without slowing down too much. And pedal that here on the B, and then pedal again on the E. So we don't have again in one pedal this. Peter says, I've always played it like C sharp strongest, natural C weaker, and then weakest. I believe you're talking about this. Well, Well, Beethoven writes a crescendo and then a piano, and this is the sort of thing he does all the time. So if you want it to be convincing, think of it not as a swell, but he's going somewhere, and then as a surprise, he takes it away. It's subito piano, so we have that as if he was going to go like this, but you take it away at the last second. We're building up to that, and then take it away. Right? So this is the most beautiful thing ever. That chord is still a little loud there. You can also look at all these different voices in here. Very pastoral. I think that covers it for the theme. Yeah, I mean, we could spend the whole time on the theme, but F, C, T. Look at that bass line. T, and exactly how to practice this. Stop, and then go, and stop, and then go to here all the way back. And you have those little slurs with the dots as well. First time I'm satisfied with how that sounded. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And if you bring it back a little bit here, you have a bit of room to work with. And notice how I got it second time there. I'm happy with that. Again, by squeezing this in and lengthening the spine. I used the una corda as well on that chord, just so here's squeeze and lengthen una corda, just so this thing is like a continuation of what we had in the bar before. These two bars. Missing a few notes there. That's it. Here's our expressive sound that we haven't had yet. Save it all the way for here. Okay, so another thing Leon Fleischer talks about here is making a kind of funny waltz. It's like a funny waltz, but not 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But rather, and let's see if I can remember this, since I lost my music with everything written in it. 3, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1, 2. I think I got that right, okay? So group the first 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1 bass line, very blunt here. Right? I hope I got that right. I have to check with my former mentor. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now a pick up to here. 4, 5. Another pick up to this one here. 3, 4, 5, and another one here. That makes sense. A little tricky there, but we're basically grouping 2 bars together and leaving a pickup to get us into the 3rd bar, right? So again, just to recapitulate, of course, on the beat. 2, 3, the 2nd bar. Now here's our pickup to here. And so on and so forth. Okay. That's kind of tricky because I think if you start that quintuplet too slow, then you end up having to do something like this, which doesn't sound so good. You end up having to rush the end. So start it in tempo. Hi, Yanko. Hi, Graham. Right, more on this one, less on this one. Same thing here. More here, less here. That's the end. Now here's that pickup. To here. More, less. That's the end. That's the fifth chord in our grouping. Then again to here. Now the slurs with a da. See how they kind of, each note is alone, but they're still connected. Of course, sing the augmented fourth or diminished fifth. Then we're back, right? So this line, you can bring that out a little bit. That's also good, nice and expressive there. And Beethoven put some little fancy things in there, right? Quarter note there. That's kind of interesting. Okay, box 2. Delay the second beat a little bit, right? And that just groups everything perfectly. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See how the second beat, it definitely doesn't come too early. We're just playing it a tiny bit late. And little swells every time here. So naturally, it seems like this one should be the most, and then this one a little less, and then this one the least. And now we crescendo all the way to here, all the way to here, back to mezzo voce. Let's staccato on the F sharp. Same thing again, a little less here. Swell, a little less. Now we crescendo. I suppose that should come out a bit more since it's a syncopation. That would be better. That's nice. I like that. This one also is syncopated. And this one too. So many syncopations here. Isn't that nice? And we get that staccato. Hi, Elizabeth. By the way, if you guys don't want to miss when we're live, hit that bell next to the subscribe button. You get a notification if you so desire. If you're into that, if you're into the bells and notifications, I encourage you to click it if you are. If you aren't, I respect that. I can't say I am. Okay, maybe a little fast. Leggermente. Isn't that beautiful? We have... Our theme is all fragmented. It probably shouldn't be that fast. It's debatable, right? How fast should the next one be? He writes Allegro vivace, so there's definitely tempo changes happening here. Perhaps if the first variation, if you feel it a little more on the slow side, then maybe the second variation, molto espressivo, can be a little bit more in the front, right? Give it a bit more direction, a little tiny bit faster, and variation 2 could also be, but probably not slower than that. So what we don't want is the two hands to blend a little bit. More like, where do we have that? That kind of thing is very good. The other thing you want, if you want it to sound nice and smooth like that, get all these notes at the same length. Don't do any of them longer or shorter than the others, right? For example, do it the wrong way, show you the contrast. Don't do any of that. Or even, I suppose, make them all the same. All equal value here. I like it, that kind of portamento staccato, long staccatos, however you want to call them, but not really staccato, I much prefer this detached. Crescendo to here, and then back down. Another crescendo, and then back down. There we have it. Think of the direction. Think of where this is going. We want to just keep it moving. Bill says, I don't get the connections between the variations. How do the variations relate to each other? Okay, thank you for that question. That's a good question. And how do you practice this section? Oh, which section are we talking about? This second variation? Peter says, I don't think the first variation has anything to do with the theme. Okay, so in variations, the harmony is very important, right? So it's not just... We had... See the similarity, and then that's it. And then that helps a little bit. It's not the melody doesn't stay the same in the variations. So it often comes back in one of the final variations, but variations are they're variations, which means they're not exactly the same. You do something completely different that's based on something, right? So the harmony is very important. And yeah, interestingly enough, the harmony is going to vary. It's not always going to be exactly the same. Right? In the second variation we have a little different than something different with it, right? And then the next variation. That's what he does. And now, as you know, he's telling a story, so it's not going to be always the same. He's added an extra part now. Instead of doing a repeat or going straight to, which is, you can literally sing it at the same time. Now he had something completely different in reply to what we had before, the part we just skipped. So he's developing it, you know, he's doing the harmony and the first and second part all the time, but he's also kind of developing some ideas and adding some new things into there, right? Okay, so let's look at that. Have we wrapped this up for this first part, the beginning of the second variation? Detached, horizontal, crescendo, all the way to here. Come back down, crescendo, swell, and back down. Now, teneramente, which means tenderly. Beethoven, to me, is one of the most tender composers that there are. There's something unbelievably tender about his music. Thinking about other composers, and yeah, I mean, they do have very tender moments, but Beethoven excels in this. Unbelievably tender, and as well as unbelievably tempestuous and stern as well, and harsh. So the fact that he can be so harsh and he can be so tender at the same time. And so philosophical as well. Think of that. That Seventh Symphony. So beautiful. Not sure if I got the right key there. Is that A minor or D minor or something? The first movement is an A major. Okay. All right, so we have that. Okay, here we are. I have to find where we are again. I remember playing this for Anton Querti, who was saying, we were asking a bunch of students, should the trill start from above or below? And he had suggested that, you know, we don't even need to know exactly did it start from above or below. Let's see if I get this. Right. Maybe you can tell it was probably from above there, right? Okay, so tenderly. So this me, D, F, 2 goes to E, G sharp, back down to F. I always can't help crescendoing here. This is a very challenging part of this piece, getting this trill. Not get it to explode. You don't want it. The fourth is really important. Both notes in the fourth. Same thing here. notice about those groupings? How are they done? You pick up on that? So now let me stop so that you can see it. Then from here, and then from here, right? So here we go, and then tee da da dum, ta da dee da da dum. So the we have a pickup to the next bar, and then this, that's the ending of that. Then you have a pickup to the next bar with a crescendo and diminuendo. Did you recognize the that's what he's doing here, right? Where do we have that? C sharp minor. There's a C natural. There you go. All right. The other thing that works very well whenever you have this sort of thing, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, it's kind of like doing the, you know, the doggy swim, but backwards, right? Because you want to always come in to the keys. So if I exaggerate it, and then just stay close. And then of course, it's very difficult once you know how to connect the lower body to phrase exactly what we did before. It's very difficult to not use that. Not just with the arms, but rather. And again. Definitely get a bit of that C natural. Brings us to pianissimo. So if you didn't at the beginning use the left pedal, now would be a good time to put it on. That theme is so lonely. I don't think you can practice. Well, you can practice with the left hand. At least to memorize it. Sure, yeah. Don't spend too long on it. This is more of something to put the hands together. They never even play at the same time. To answer your question, Bill, you can practice some things with the hands separated, right? You can maybe get a better sense of the bass line, work on getting the length of the notes the same, that detached thing. But then, of course, you can't really work on the direction as well. Here's a crescendo. And a crescendo. Another crescendo. Right? Okay. We're obviously doing 2 sessions on this, right? So we're going to come back to this on Friday. Definitely don't want to rush through this. So that's good. So between now and Friday, maybe on Friday, if you have additional questions, then fire them out on Friday as well. Very detached. There's that crescendo. get to that G sharp, we do crescendo. And then we start again. But it goes nowhere. Now we come back to this thing. As little expression as possible. Keep this mysterious. We don't want to. It's too much, right? Just keep it mysterious. Another place where it's very hard not to crescendo. I think I've always done it. And you have this voice. Isn't that so beautiful? Let's see, E major. And we'll look at that. That's difficult, right? If you can get this in the front like this, as opposed to just like that, then you can sing that. See how I come back this way to be able to go in the front here. It's very difficult. But here's a very good way of practicing it. Okay, here we go. Let's practice this. Bar 28, second variation. We got it. This in the front, and this in the front. Okay? If you're not used to this fingering, you will not like it, okay? But do it anyway. You have to learn. Trill with 3-5. This is a place where we want to trill with 3-5. Perfect example. So then, once you got this in the front, see that movement here? You can do maybe even an extra 2 notes. This is another place where, just for the sake of practicing, we're not going to play too soft. Yeah, just let it be loud. We're just going to practice this. All right, I feel like this is a key thing I have to show you in this variation. You're working on that. In the front, or okay, and this one. And then work on this. See, it's not perfect, but it's okay. You'll see. This is going to make a huge difference. Now, exactly like that. Without rushing. Take time here. Relax. And then, so this is in the front. This is in the front. And this. It works after. If you work on it well like that, really get this in the front, trill with 3-5, and then this also in the front. I usually don't need to say, I think people don't need to learn so much that they need to go back so that you can go back in the front. Just think about doing what needs to be in the front. And you will automatically go back, I promise. You don't have to worry about where you go back. This is in the front, and this is in the front. If you want to go front, automatically, you're coming back to do it again. That really helps. Probably also staying very relaxed in the hand. So, okay, then we have this crescendo. so what did we have here? Isn't that kind of expressive, that chromaticism? Crescendo, all the way to the end. And then I like to take the pedal off here. But always keep a little bit. You know, here you can put pedal. Because no one really does that. That sounds very nice. Instead of maybe at the end as well, you remove the pedal. If you want, if you're into that kind of thing. I am. Yeah, I hope that does help, that 3/5 trills. I always feel self-conscious singing the phrases. Just started counting out loud. Self-conscious singing the phrases. I see, because someone else is listening to you and they hear you sing. Yeah, totally. You're not the only one. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I don't want to sing out loud when people hear me. Yeah, for me it's hard to stop even when performing, so counting is good. Count out loud, absolutely. You don't have to sing things out loud all the time. You know, it has its purpose. Sometimes it's good to sing things out loud. I think it helps. It really does. The una corda at bar 49, very good. I have separate bar numbers for each variation in this one. Okay, Piano Man says, how do you decide when to move in with the hands versus moving out to draw the sound? As a general rule, when you have an interval, a harmonic interval, that means 2 notes at the same time. That's played in the front. That's a general rule. If you go with that, most of the time you're going to be right. Depends if you're doing... Depends on the technique. If we have like that's a drawer technique, so that's a little different. See, you can't go in on every one. You're not going to go. So now you go out, in, out, in. And for a drawer technique, the rule is pretty much the thumb goes in. So out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. That sort of thing. Schumann toccata, you have that as well. Yeah, as a general rule, 2 notes in the front. So, but it's a good question, and you know, we have to look at every situation for its uniqueness, right? Okay, let's finish this variation, and we'll do the third. Maybe even stop there, actually. Then piano, take a little pedal off. Crescendo and back down. Yeah. Tempo is good. We're going to get into this Friday. mistakes I made in the fugue. That's probably the same mistakes everyone is making. So we'll look at that. Where was that? That's a tricky part. All right, that's tough. So, and in all these late piano sonatas, Beethoven has a fugue, doesn't he? Right? Obviously, in the second last one, the sonata following this one, and isn't there a fugue in the final sonata? A very short one somewhere. Oh yeah, in the first movement you have that. Fugue, I suppose. Well, we'll look at it next time. We'll look at it on Friday. So we'll look at the third variation and the one in 9/8, somewhat slower than the theme. We will look at that, and the fugue, of course, and the final thing. Hey, maybe we'll even break it into next Monday. Let's really not rush this. So, okay, I guess the variations connection is in there somewhere. In where? Between which ones? There's always a connection. There's always a connection to the theme. It's varied, right? It's a variation on that theme. So the harmony is essential. The theme is not going to be played over and over. It's especially the harmony that's repeated in these things. You know, listen to, the variations by Mozart. All those things. You can hear the connection maybe a little better in a variation by Mozart than Beethoven. And of course, if you want to listen to variations and you have lots of time on your hand, then listen to the Diabelli variations by Beethoven. I think there are 30 of them. Am I mistaken? I forget. But it's somewhere a little over an hour. And not a lot of people play that, I guess, because it's just so long to listen to, let alone play. What's your left-hand fingering at bar 2 of variation 3? Oh, we will definitely get into that. Variation, bar 2 of variation 3. Okay, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 1, 3. 1, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think 5 on the B. 5, 3, 1, 3, 2. 4 on the C sharp. So 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 1, 4, I guess. 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's kind of nice if the 4 is already on the C sharp. And of course, practice like this. You see that wheel? Same thing in the right hand. We'll look at that on Friday, absolutely. Awesome. So thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you for your comments, questions, and dialogues. I really appreciate it. Nice to see all of you here all the time. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it. Even if you're just joining us and missed the whole thing, well, it's going to be up there in a little bit. We will be looking at the rest on Friday. And, I did put a tip jar on the Patreon page of $2 a month. So anyone who wants to contribute a small sum to this channel, head over to the Patreon page and check out the tip jar tier. And if you want to contribute more, of course, check out the $10 a month tier that's also there. And that's it, guys. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when we're live. And wow, this is really over. Do I have anything else to say? No. Thank you, everybody. See you on Friday. Take care. Awesome. Peace. Over and out.